for the first time, which is actually the first time, I'm not saying forever, because this episode is mainly focusing on the villains, Trek, Cozy Glow, and Chrysalis. The main six isn't in this episode, nor is the Kiyomaka Sales or any of the supporting characters, which is actually pretty good and really something we didn't actually notice that this is the first time they're doing this, which is in the final season of this show. And as for this episode, let's just see how they handle this villain episode. I'm just gonna point this out right away that it's really obvious that these villains aren't getting along whatsoever. Krause Glow thinks that she's better than everyone else because she's cute, while Trelak is stronger, so he's better than anyone else, and then Queen Chrysalis is better because she still has teleporting to, well, changing to different characters and thinking that she has a better strategy than everyone else. Yeah, it's that story, and there's a song that really proves it, but I'll get to that later. Gilgar tells a flashback about Gusty, who stole his ballistic bell, and without it, he won't be able to become really powerful. Yeah, the ballistic bell, or whatever you call it, is something that Gilgar needs in order to war off Questia, because it will make him more powerful, and it's up to the three villains to go to a mountain, which is a snow peak mountain, to get it for him. So basically, this episode is kind of like teamwork, except with villains. Cozy Glow is encountering someone who's living by the mountain, and she tries her best to be very sweet, but at the same time, it completely backfires her because she screams, her anger gets the best of her, and of course, she can't be able to do this by herself. Chrysalis tries to go through a really dangerous blizzard by trying to get through the mountain as fast as possible because she has changing powers, obviously, but the wind and obstacles just gets way too powerful for her to handle by herself. And as for Trek, he barely does anything because he pretty much knew he's not going to be able to go up there by himself. Well, I can guarantee you that this is pretty much the only villain who thinks he's better than everything because of his strength, and then he won't be able to handle something that is considered a really blizzard snow mountain. Since they have no other choice, they decided to do the teamwork like they saw at earlier this episode. So I really think that this entire episode is mainly focusing that the villains can't work together, and then towards the end, they will. However, when they succeed, they have second thoughts on being neutral villains again. And unlike when you think that, oh, they're going to completely betray Gilgar in the finale, well, technically, they've already did in this episode. They hide the item that Gilgar really needs so badly behind his back. And as you can tell, this is just the beginning of probably what we might be able to get more episodes involving Chrysalis, Krause Glow, and Trelak. Because believe me, I know there's gonna be something going on in the season between these villains. I know this is not going to be the only episode involving the villains. For this being the only episode, and maybe more episodes afterwards, well, the villains get some kind of attention, but in the most goofy and hilarious way possible, I actually thought that they were going to easily side with the good guys, because for one, when I think of Frenemies, I usually think that they're trying to need to understand that there's more than to friendship other than lovey-dovey stuff. But apparently this episode doesn't have any of the characters. So when I think of this episode after watching this, I just think of basically villains just can't work together, because it's kind of like the Avengers movie. Well, the Avengers are just trying to get along towards the middle of the film, and then they won't be able to do it, but they will be at the end. It's kind of like this one, except that they're not actually going to be working together afterwards. No, I'm not really disappointed at that whatsoever, because this episode does something better than what the Mean Six did. At least they continue the story by getting what they need and then they're hiding it behind Gaga's back because I really don't know what to say about the Mean Six. I mean, Queen Chrysalis was done terribly in that episode, but here she at least did something that actually followed the story, because I think that the Mean Six was only in the season 8 episode because they really didn't know what to do with Chrysalis, so they had to make an episode dedicated to her just messing with Starlight Glimmer and her friends. But here, since that there's no characters involving the main six, I really think that them actually succeeding, I'm actually kind of glad that they didn't make Chrysalis way more different and way more toned down than in the Mean Six episode. And with that said, yes, like I mentioned before, there was no characters from the Main Six or any of the supporting characters in this episode. This image right here is just Queen Chrysalis turned to Twilight Sparkle, and Taylor Stone didn't even voice any of the lines. It's just Queen Chrysalis's voice actor doing all this. So I really think it's kind of a unique idea. I mean, they did this with Slice of Life 4 years ago, but unlike in that episode, this episode really has some kind of going with, because we don't get to see other characters get this kind of attention. I mean, if this episode didn't actually happen involving the villains having some kind of a spotlight, it would probably be way too predictable to think that the 3 villains are just going to side with Gilgar just so that teamwork can handle everything. But considering the fact that King Samban was destroyed earlier this season, I guess they would need to pick the other option by siding with Gilgar. But they have a plan where they have to betray him just so they can handle stuff on their own. In my opinion, the lead of supervillains which of people are memeing this from a 2008 cheesy cartoon, it really goes to show that they'll basically like this, but in Pony World. I mean, My Little Pony having villains grouped together isn't something that the My Little Pony writers would easily do, because it's pretty much obvious that they're not going to be able to work together, considering that they have different traits, and the fact that we don't get to see all the villains teaming together, I think it really goes to show, because if all the villains team up together in this situation, they will probably go through the same thing these 3 characters do. I mean, granted, it is great and amazing to have all the villains, the Dazzlings, Midnight Sparkle, if that qualifies, because that's basically also inside Twilight Sparkle, but it was gone after Legend of Everfree, and Discord, who just turned into good in Season 3. It will be a great thing to see, but at the same time, something like this could easily happen, since they have different traits of ruling together. When it comes to villains doing a villain for Infinity team up or something, I don't think that will probably be the same case when they're going to work together by conquering the entire land of Equestria. I mean, when you think about it, they won't be able to get along easily. Sure, it would take a lot of time, but this is just basically the same plot. Well, we see villains team up together, which is kind of similar to heroes team up together if you saw the Avengers movie, and they don't easily get along. And they did the end, but with this episode's twist, they decide to hide the item that Gaga really needs. The only thing I really hope is that there better be another episode involving these 3 characters and what they're going to accomplish of their own plan. Because I think what the final season finale is going to be like, I think it's going to be something very unique. But we don't know what's going to happen because we're getting close to halfway through the season and we're not even in October yet. Anyway, there's one more thing to talk about, and that's the song, which is, I think it's going to be called Working Together, if that's the actual title. Now, this is my first song I've heard from this season, and it's not terrible, but at the same time, it's basically a villain song. Not that I have anything against villain songs, but if there's one thing I didn't like about this song is Treyarch singing. I'm not saying that he's a terrible singer, considering the fact that he's a different voice actor, but I got a feeling that his voice actor doesn't sing whatsoever. Because Sherlock is supposed to be a very menacing villain, unlike Queen Chrysalis and the other characters. And him singing this song, I'm sorry, I just can't take his voice seriously. I just don't. But I will say that Closet Grows and Queen Chrysalis' singing voice is much more better. This song is predictable, but it's kind of entertaining when you're a villain guy, or a villain girl if you want to side with the villains. And sometimes this song can be very hilarious when these three characters are just beckoning each other because they're not getting along. And it's really obvious at this point that towards the end of this episode, if you pretty much know where this is going, they're obviously not going to be able to get along whatsoever. Not one of my favorite songs from this show, but I will say that for the first song listening to this, I didn't like it, but it was kind of entertaining in a more hilarious way. The only thing I can hope is that with the amount of episodes that this show has left, that is less than 20 episodes, I really hope that they actually do something really interesting with this idea by having the three characters going behind Gargoyle's back in order to do their own neutral evil doings. I just really hope that they actually do something good, unlike the Mean Six did. With this episode being focusing not on the Killmonger Sales or the Main Six or any of these characters, I kind of found this episode really enjoyable, and something I think that it's probably one of the reasons why I should review this episode. Because they can do surprises and do unique twists, just because this is the final season and we still have almost 20 episodes left until the show is over. Anyway, I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. Now that's one episode that I reviewed from Season 9, even if I'm not looking at the model. And yes, I will review the Equestria Girls short that's going to be coming on this Discovery Family app tomorrow. And I'm also going to be reviewing another Season 9 episode in the next 2 weeks, which is Season 10's Going to Seed episode. And I'm just going to say that episode, I have a lot to say because of the screenshots I just saw. And sorry, but while I saw the screenshots of Going to Seed, I have a lot to say when this episode premieres on Discovery Family. The most has yet to come in Season 9.